right, welcome everyone. Today we're talking about how to solve event planning nightmares like a pro. And this particular nightmare is poor event management. Have you ever had your event disrupted in just like a dangerous way? There's a threat to the attendees, a threat to, let's see what Yamar says. Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. Have a fantastic day. All right, so today we're talking about the event planning nightmare of poor event management. And for everyone just joining in, when I look here, I'm looking at Instagram. When I look down here, I'm looking at YouTube. So, ever had a disruptive incident that poses serious risk or threat to assets and or people at your event? Well, my friends, I have. I have. And I'm going to use that as a case study for today's tips. My name is Melody Dixon, CEO and founder of Pro Event Planners, curators of eco-focused events. I plan events for people who are steeped in all things sustainability. That means in their home life, they're managing water and energy and food waste and paper waste and time wasting. And they take that into their business as well. They make sure that their company is minimizing waste as much as possible. And they also take that into their events. They want to make sure that they're not using plastic bottles or single use containers or wasting energy. And so they reach out to me to help them plan their events because what I do aligns with how they are. And so mashes it together and we're in partnership. I also work with people who have no idea about sustainability. They are aware that they're wasting things. They're aware that they can't continue to do things the same old, same old. And so they reach out to me because they're edging in that sustainability, eco-focused way, but they're not sure what to do. So I hold their hands and help them make tiny steps that's manageable. And I educate them along the way. And over time, the little things that they're doing makes a big impact on the environment. So that's what I do. So what is sustainability anyway? Sustainability is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. In melody speak, I like to say that God is just an expansive energy, creating universes and creating worlds. Good morning, Jody. This morning, we're doing how to solve event planning nightmares like a pro, and today's nightmare is poor event management. So I was just breaking down the definition of sustainability, I guess, the Googleable definition and my definition. So the mainstream definition is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. How I like to see it is God is so expansive, creating worlds, universes, everything, and intentional in creating so that everything kind of depends on the other. We're all connected and we're all working together. We all need each other to make this big, beautiful world happen, right? And so a part of being from God is that we too are expansive. And so we see that when we create art, we create, I don't know, coaching programs, we create music, we make delicious dishes, we start a business, we find ways to express the expansiveness that is in us because we are from the most expansive energy that ever was, is, or will be. So that's just how it is. But we do so intentionally. We don't use up all the resources today. We reduce what we're using and make the most of what we have so that our children can have access to those resources, or grandchildren, and or people generations like 10 generations deep will have access to the same resources so they too can be creative. All right, so there are three pillars of sustainability. The first one is the environment. We get to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Reduce what we're already using, and reuse what we have, and recycle. Give it away, change it into something else. And I like to add upcycled. There's this show that I used to love to watch. It's not on HGTV regularly anymore. I think it's more like an on-demand thing, but it's called Flea Market Flip, and this is where they would buy old broken bicycles or a crib, old strollers, and convert it into something like new furniture or art, but functional. And that's just a great way. Instead of throwing things into landfills, we use it to benefit people now. So an organized event management process is essential for planning and executing successful events. Without a clear and systematic approach, event planners may encounter challenges in defining goals, designing content, selecting venues and resources, promoting, managing operations, and evaluating outcomes. All of those things are necessary for having an organized event. So let me share one time. Thank God it's only been one. Let me knock the desk. I had an incident at one of the events I did, and it was poor planning, not on my part, because I'm obsessed with events, but I was hired to do a partial coordination. And with partial coordination, that package means that the company or the client or the bride and groom, whoever it is, has done a good portion of the planning and organizing and sourcing of the items. And it means that at a certain point, they want a professional to take over and take them to the finish line and ensure their event success. So that's what the partial package is about. The client does half, and then the planner does half, and day of coordination. So this particular client decided to book their own venue. And they were looking for something particular, a hotel on the beach that would allow them to have multiple events in various spaces around, and that would just be aesthetically pleasing, says all things Florida and South Beach and party, but also destination. I totally get that. So they looked around, and they found a venue. They signed a contract and made a deposit. And they wanted to get some help to manage the other things like the decor and just, managing all the vendors on the day of, and help with the rehearsal, dinner, help with the brunch the next day. And so that's where I came in. What happened was, this was a wedding, and towards the end of the reception, let's say an hour before the reception was done, the police came. And actually, let me go back a little bit before that. The people from the hotel would come to me because I'm the liaison between the venue and the couple. And they would say, have the DJ turn the music down. And I would go to the DJ and say, turn the music down. And, we just want to honor the noise ordinance. That's city. The city is saying no loud music and all that good stuff. So I stayed by him, and when they came to me, I would go to him because I'm not sure how loud is too loud for the city, but the venue knows because they've been there for I don't know how long working with the city, so they have an idea of how loud is too loud. And then the cops showed up, and I went out to them because I'm like, okay, police officers at this event. I need to be front and center and find out what's happening. So I introduced myself, told them who I was and what I was doing, and they said, okay, we've had noise complaints and we need everything shut down, everything turned off. Because this is not the first time that this venue has had this issue. So while there, I think a relative of the couple came up to the officers and wanted to know why they're shutting everything down. The officer explained out of courtesy, because the officer isn't legally obligated to explain to a guest, to explain to me, the venue, and to the couple, if anything. But, he was polite enough to say, this is why we're shutting everything down, noise complaints, and, it's disturbing all the people on the beach. So I went to the couple and I said, look, the cops are here. This is what is happening. And we need to shut everything down. It's an hour from the end of the event. And I think you need to come with me and let's, talk with the venue and see what we can do. This family member, I think he was inebriated, decides to argue with the police officer, who, by the way, looked like RoboCop and could totally smush him with his little finger. This little guy went up to the cop and was just being so rude and argumentative and like reducing personal space between him and the officer, which could imply that this person could be a threat to the officer because he's getting up into his face. And I had to put my hand in between. I'm like, look, I'll manage this, so on and so forth. The groom is coming. Please step back. Wouldn't listen. And the officer's like, sir, need to back up or else. So anyway, the bride and groom came, talked with the officer, the venue people came, and music had to be off. That was just the end of it. There was nothing we could do, because it looks like the venue has a habit of having events in their space and not communicating to the clients that events need to end at 10 and they need to be this high, nothing louder than that. And the reason I think they've gotten away with it so far is that the officers don't come every time. Nobody calls them every time. And also, when the officers come, they typically pull up to the front of the hotel, go in the lobby, ask for the manager, and all that. This particular time, the officers came in the back by the beach and bypassed the lobby, because they're saying every time they come through the lobby, by the time they get to the back, the music is off and nobody knows what they're talking about. So that, my friends, is a problem with the execution of the contract for the venue and everything leading up to that. So using this case study, I'm going to go through my tips for ensuring that this doesn't happen. Tip number 1, do your research. When I am sourcing a venue for a client, not only do I look at the amenities offered, the location, how easy it is for clients to get there, what the parking situation is like. Is it a public parking? Is it on the premises? Is there a charge? Are there guest rooms associated with the venue, or how far is the hotel from the venue? All those basic things. I also look at the reviews for the venue. And I also, depending on what it is, do a search on just the company, the venue name in Google, so that whatever comes up, any kind of articles, any kind of legal situations that could affect my client, even talk with the city, depending on what it is, just to find out. I want to make sure that the venue I'm booking for my client is perfect. Now, when the client decided to book the venue on their own and signed a contract and made a deposit that was non-refundable, the venue was just a venue. That's it. So number one, do your research. Number two, know what is in the contract. The venue had said they were the ones to go ahead and get the permit from the city, and that my clients didn't have to do that. Turns out the venue also didn't get a permit from the city, which explained a lot of things that happened during the day, which they kind of brushed off as, what they normally do. So read the contract. Read the contract. Number three, beware of possible threats and be proactive. If, let's say, they were honest and said, sometimes the city will come and shut us down, and that's not anywhere on Google that's, for me to see, they should have been forthright to say, your event needs to end at 10 and you have to be out of here by 11 because XYZ. Then if the couple had known that, they would have said, okay, we're going to book you anyway because we like your location and all that, and we'll honor what the restrictions are. But they didn't give the couple a chance to even make that decision because they wanted the couple's money and they wanted the business. I get that, but there's a wrong and a right way to get the business. So for sure, be aware of possible threats if you can. Sometimes there's no way you can know that a particular thing is going to happen. You just have to be present and troubleshoot it as it happens. What I have done for events where I have foreseen possible threats or danger, especially if it's outdoor events, I've made sure that there's an EMT truck on site. Morning, Monique. I've made sure that there's an EMT truck on site with staff in case people fall over from heat stroke or, somebody who's pregnant goes into labor. It's always on site because the worst case scenario, you pay the city, I don't know, $500 to $800 for two EMT people and the truck with all the equipment and everything, and nobody dies. Nobody gets sick, which is perfect. That's what you want. But you don't want to have them be at risk with no immediate care for outdoor events, especially if it's hot. For indoor events, I make sure I have my first aid kit. And of course, my team, we have a protocol in place. If there's a situation, you call 911, wait for them, lead them in, so on and so forth, take them right to whoever the person is. And I think it was a gala last year. I think last year I did a gala. It was an independence gala for Jamaica, and this lady fainted, and we got her off the ground to sit at a table, gave her some water, and asked her if she revived. She said, it happens to me all the time. I have this condition, so on and so forth. And we're like, would you like us to call the ambulance? And she refused several times. But then one of her friends called them and they came in and I led them right to her. And she's like, that's okay. I don't want to go in the ambulance. I'm fine. I have this condition. I just need something to eat. And, she refused them to even check her pulse. What can you do? At least you brought them in and it was her decision to have treatment or not. So for sure. Hey, Crystal, good morning. Number three, so that was beware of possible threats and be proactive. Number four, follow a checklist. Checklists are my go-to because during the event day, so many things are happening. There's the flooring people that come, there's the lighting people, there's the staging people, and there's the event furniture people, and they come with the tables and the chairs and the sofas and the backdrops, and then there's the linen person, and then the florist, and then the event staff, and then the catering staff. I have to be able to make sure everybody gets in on time. So what I do with my staff is they get a checklist. So I'll assign someone. There are musicians, exactly like Crystal, who's a harpist. Everybody gets to come in and get their space and everything ready. So while I'm overseeing that, my team has a copy of the checklist. And I'll say, you manage the kitchen, you manage the buffet, you manage the bar, you manage the other thing. And so everybody's going down their checklist so nothing gets left behind. And one of the things on the checklist is to confirm with all the people who are coming. Like I would confirm with the EMT people, are they coming and what time and where they should park once they arrive on site. I manage all of that. Number 5, assign roles. I just talked about a little of that. Hold regular meetings for progress updates and communicate effectively with clients, vendors, and attendees. So if we had known in that case study scenario, if we'd known that the venue often has the police coming to shut down and get noise complaints, then we would have a meeting regarding that and figure out what is the level, what is the time, what can we do to buffer the sound so it doesn't escape and have people call and complain. And so with frequent and often communication, we for sure will have a safer event. Number 6, review event data, feedback, and results to identify strengths and weaknesses, using them to improve and innovate future events. So if let's say I was the catering sales manager for that hotel that the couple used, if I know that the police is always coming, I would be honest with my clients, first of all, because not being honest is going to get me a bad review. And for years now, people have been using reviews, TripAdvisor, Google reviews, Wedding Wire, The Knot, Facebook reviews. Everyone's looking at all the reviews because they know that people will say whatever they need to say in order to get the business, and that clients will show their true experience. So definitely I would be honest with my clients if I was the manager for that venue. At the end of the event, I have a post-event meeting with my staff and I get feedback. So if I assign someone to manage the kitchen or manage the bar or the buffet or help with the vendor load-in, at the end of the event, I'll say, okay, what worked for you, what didn't work for you, and I'll take notes and get feedback so that if there's something I need to change in the process, I can. Or if I'm assigning the wrong person to the wrong space, I'll make a switch for next time. And we'll talk about using the venue, how easy it was or how difficult it was, how flexible and nimble they were to maneuver through last minute changes, or if something happens, can they nimbly say, okay, use this or do that or come here, or you want a venue that's very flexible because so many things can happen. You never know what's going to happen. There's no absolutely perfect event. You just need professional staff on site to manage it so that the guests, the clients aren't even aware that something happened, and it's just managed behind the scenes. And then depending on the size of the thing that happened, you have a meeting with the client and say, this is what happened, this is what you should do next time, or this is what we'll do next time, depending on what it is. In the scenario with the bride and groom who booked the venue where the cops came, I would recommend to them that they turn over something as big and involved as a wedding to a professional wedding planner from start to finish, especially if it concerns them getting vendors on their own, vendors that they don't have a relationship with. So they're not sure what to look for, what to ask for, and what to reject. All right. Now, events are very, very involved. There's so many different moving parts, and you get to hire it done. So in the link for YouTube, which is down here, YouTube, in the description of this live, you'll see the link to my pro event page. For Instagram, up here, the link is in the bio. When you click that link, it takes you to my website. Look at the pro event package to learn more. This is one where if you're doing an event and you need support, we'll help you find the right venue so that you will know all the rules and have it fall in line with the look and feel that you want. And with a professional planner in place, the majority of the threats and possible dangers will be eliminated. And if there's any unforeseen situation that happens, then the planner will be on site to manage that for you. If the package doesn't suit you and you're looking for something different based on the kind of event you have, you want something custom, let's connect. My name is Melody Dixon, CEO and founder of Pro Event Planners, curators of eco-focused events. My email address is info@myproeventplanners. All right? Take care, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me. All right. So, Mari, Jody, Monique, and Crystal, thank you for joining me. We'll have another event nightmare to tackle tomorrow. Take care and have a great day. All right, YouTube, thank you so much for joining. I will be here tomorrow. Take care and have a fantastic day.